What are the best tools and techniques for creating stunning charcoal drawings? Hi, Carey here, and welcome back to the channel, where we explore all things portraiture. Today, we're diving into the captivating world of charcoal drawing. So get ready to learn how this versatile medium can add unique depth and interest to your artwork. Charcoal drawing is not just about creating beautiful images, it's a whole experience. It's certainly one of my favorite mediums to draw with. Plus, it's a great medium to really learn how to draw well with because of the versatility that it offers. So what I've noticed though with my own students is that they get very caught up in trying to get the drawing right, and they're really unaware of the variety of tools that are available to them and also how and when to apply them during the whole drawing process. But once you learn about them, how to do them, and when to apply them, you can really create some stunning effects in your own drawings. So let's get in there and look at the tools of the trade. Everything from vine charcoal to loose or compressed charcoal to all the various types of pencils that you would use in order to create all the different effects. This tutorial was taken from my Patreon course called Fast Dramatic Charcoal Portraits.
All right, so as I've been teaching this course, I notice there's a point where students begin to struggle a little bit with all the different types of charcoal. They don't quite realize how they differ. So there's a reason why we have these range of different charcoal pencils and tools to work with, because each one of them has a different use and has a different quality to it. There's all kinds of different kinds of charcoal, and they all have a different quality to them, which is useful at different points in the drawing. So I'm just going to go through this so that it's a little easier for people when they're going through their drawing, because I notice students will get in there and they'll be struggling and they don't even know that they have these options available to them. So let's begin with, we're going to begin from the hardest to the softest. So I'm going to start with the carbon pencils. And these are the ones that come in a pale beige woody color pencil shaft, and they come in different hardnesses, just like regular pencils do. So we have a B here, I've got 2B here, a 4B, and a 6B, and they're just like regular pencils. The B's, the lower the number, the harder the pencil. The higher the number, the softer the pencil. So by the time I get to the 6B's, basically what I'm going to be doing is then switching over to my charcoal pencils, which are even softer and darker again. So I'm going to start with my B carbon pencil. This is the hardest pencil in the group. So I'm just going to make a mark. And you can see that I've got a fair bit of control with that, and that's how dark it is. This is also my Staedtler black watercolor pencil, and you'll see here, just with this mark, that it's finer and a little bit lighter. And it also doesn't have the same blendability that the carbon pencil does. So you can see when I'm taking my brush and I'm softening that one, there's a certain smudging to it. This one does not have as much. Even most of that smudging right there is actually the medium that's left over on the brush itself. So this is my B, so this is my Staedtler watercolor pencil. What you can see is very light, very delicate. So that's if you've got really delicate stuff that you want to do and you don't want to smudge it a lot, you can start off with your Staedtler black watercolor pencil. It'll actually give you more like soft grays. Then if you want to do something very delicate, you can use your B carbon pencil. Then we'll go up to a 2B carbon pencil, and we'll see how much darker that one is. So you can see, you watch as I'm putting these down, that each one gets slightly darker. So that's a 2B. This is a 4B. And as you're working with them, you can feel that they're softer. They become, the lighter they are, the harder they are. The darker they are, the softer and more crumbly they become. And this is the 6B carbon pencil. And this one, you can feel it just becoming very crumbly, and you can see how dark it gets. You can see how blendable they are. So you can see this one, the 2B, that's the B, this is the 2B, doesn't blend as much. So you can see the 6B, how much it blends. Why? Because it's much more powdery. So if you're trying to make gradients of black, that's what you do. You just start working your way up the number scale in order to get darker darks with softer texture that blend a little more easily. And the carbon pencils are quite hard as a charcoal medium goes, and they're easier to control. That's what's really great about them. If you're in there working with really delicate details, this is actually the pencil that you want to be using, that one there. If you're trying to get extremely soft edges, you probably want to be working with Staedtler watercolor pencil. And you'll notice also that I work with my pencils extremely sharp. It makes a huge difference. Being able to get the accuracy and the detail that you want really depends on how you sharpen your pencil and keeping it sharp. So it's actually a big deal. So when we start getting even darker and larger masses, then I go into my charcoal pencils. And this is the hardest one. So I would say this, I would liken this one to be probably like about a 4B carbon pencil. And let's see how well it blends here. But you see, it's softer. It's a lot, you can even see it just sitting next to there. This is much denser and much more, I don't know, fills the paper, the grooves of the paper a little more. This one's more chalky and it sits on the top. But this is even just the hard charcoal pencil. Now we're going to get into a medium, and you will feel when you're working with it, it's just that much chalkier. So you can see it sits more on top of the paper. And then finally, this is the soft. This one, you can see it's the chalkies. You can see how it's just crumbling on the paper. And this will give you blacks. There. Darks, so it's the same thing. If you're working your way up to darks within darks, then you want to be working your way up to the softer pencils. And look how much powder is coming off of this thing. That's how crumbly it is. Whereas you get almost no powder off of the carbon pencils. They're much they have more of a binding quality to them. They're a little bit stickier, and therefore that's why you can depend on them more for details. They're not going to crumble and fall off. But if you're trying to get a large dark swath in an area, and you'll see in this drawing as we move forward with it how that works, then you want to be working with your charcoal pencils. Then we can get into other broader charcoal. So let's take a look at our charcoal, different charcoal sticks. So this is a willow stick. So this is not for doing delicate details. This is the same thing. This is for just covering large swath areas. So you can see the same thing. Very crumbly. If you want to just make a mark, you know, through there like that. So it allows you to get some large coverage and some interesting line quality. And you can see there how I can smudge it quite a bit with my large brush, any one of these. So the brush also matters too. Because this is a large, soft brush, I can really smudge it around quite a bit. Whereas with this brush here, this is a hog's hair filbert. I can get in there and have a much more targeted area. I can take a charcoal stick. Same thing. This is a soft charcoal stick, and just start covering a wide swath of area. You can see there. Now, you wouldn't want to be doing this with one of your carbon pencils. You'd take all day to do it, and it wouldn't have the kind of the fluid kind of feeling to it either, in terms of trying to create large swaths of dark. Then we have our Nitram sticks, these ones here. These are great for working on real detail, as you can tell. And let me just go over here. Because they're sharpened so delicately, so you can get these beautiful, fine, delicate details with these. And you can feel it just when you're working with it. If you were to rub it as hard as you did there, it would just snap. So you tend to deal with them in a very delicate manner. Then I can take my brush, move things around. So look at that. You get a whole different quality. Again, this is very, very subtle. These Nitram sticks are actually really great. You can get some incredible work done with these. They give you a lot of control, and actually even just being able to hold them further back. Now over here I have another Nitram stick that's been used right down to the nub pretty much, and I've got a little holder for it here, and it's a different one. And it's a darker one. And mind you, I haven't got it sharpened as accurately as the other one. But you can see that it's a different quality of mark from some of these other ones here. Then I have just my loose charcoal in a little pot here, and I'm going to use my big brush. I'm just going to dip it in there, and I'm just going to use that. Now you can get great coverage, obviously, with this. But you can see again, it's a different quality. It's kind of loose and foggy and hazy. And you get a different kind of mark again. So depending on, then last but not least is my little pounce. Now this is full of charcoal. So it's my little pounce, and this, you can see, I do that, and you can see how it just, look how broad the coverage is. Very big and broad. So depending on what you're trying to cover, this is what you use the pounce for. And then you can go like this. I can use my brush, just spread it around, push it into the paper. Then what I can do is go over top with other charcoal, build things up, and do other details on top of that. So you can see it's building up degrees of black depending on the type of mark that you want, the kind of value that you want, and how they all work together. And doing very delicate stuff over here. Here's my 2B carbon pencil. So you can see I can do a very, very fine line, very delicate line. And then finally, last but not least, are my little brushes, and I've got even this here. I had my bigger brushes, but even this little tiny brush here is what allows me to get in there and do some very, very delicate blending, particularly when you're dealing with features of the face and things like that. So I can do big swaths like this, I can do tiny little delicate areas, and I can just use the medium on its own like this to get extremely delicate shadow areas like that. So all I'm doing is just pick it, and what I can do is just go in here and pick up some medium here, and then just simply go like that. So there you have it, all the different marks that you can make, the different values, the different quality, the tight little detail that you can get from a very fine tip, the kind of broad brush, smooth swaths that you can get from just using the pounce of your brush, all these different marks depending on where you are. So as we proceed through the drawing, you'll be able to see how all those different marks, all these different values, and these different tools are put to use in a specific area.
So if you'd like to develop the skills to create beautiful and realistic portraits, you can. Simply go to the Patreon link in the description below and find out how. So why not give charcoal a try and unlock your full artistic potential? So as we wrap up, let's just take a moment to summarize all the key points that we covered in this tutorial. First, we use loose charcoal to create broad, expressive strokes. Second, we use our harder pencils, such as carbon pencils, to do fine detail. We use our softer charcoal pencils to achieve our dark darks and to get real depth into our drawings. And lastly, we use our brushes in order to create beautiful, flawless blending. Now remember, practice makes perfect, and patience is the key when trying to master any of your artistic skills, including charcoal. So keep at it, focus on one skill set at a time, and step by step, you will watch your artistic skills begin to move into a whole new level. So thanks very much for joining me on this artistic journey. And until next time, stay creative. This is your time to express yourself. Happy drawing, and we'll see you in the next video.